Travis Wingoodzel. Not really anything in the church news other than the church is still trying to overthrow South Africa now. That's the one that they're pushing for now that South Africa is involved in the closest election since 30 years ago. And there's the church right there in the thick of it. I can't believe Mormons are that ignorant. Because over 10 million Mormons are not. They left the church. They don't go back. And so Occam's razor would suggest that those who remain Mormon know they're wicked, know they are lying, know they are evil. Because the other thing would be that they're just too proud to admit that they're wrong. So evil people never bother to tell the truth. Even when they get caught in a lie, they go down to prison still claiming the lie. They go down to judgment claiming the lie. They never admit the truth. I've seen that too many times with my family and white supremacist peers and Mormons. Mormons therefore know the scriptures, so that when I say a certain passage from a certain scripture, they know of it. They may not know where it is. Old Testament, they believe. That was one of them. If you still don't know, I can give you a further clue. I will not burn the book. Now you know what it is. See, I can do another one. These are movies that the church has put out through BYN. Another one would have been Mahana, You Ugly. Yeah, everybody knows that one. That shocked me when I first watched that back as a kid. My pure, innocent mind. And there's Daddy saying that his daughter is ugly. That I felt that right there in my heart. Literally felt it in my heart. That dad could be that abusive. Book of Mormon says we're supposed to be Jewish. And so instantly the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud. It doesn't matter any claim beyond that. Because the church is lying about being Christian rather than Jewish. Everything else is a lie, based upon the big lie that they claim to be Christian. See, Christians know that Mormons aren't Christian, but that's as far as they'll go. They argue the branches of Mormon Christianity rather than Book of Mormon says you're Jewish. You're not Christian. They won't do that, because if they did do that, then Mormons can just turn it back on Christians. Well, you did it to the Jews and their Bible scriptures. And then all of Christianity falls, along with Islam. You can't enforce your religion upon other people. That's cardinal rule number 1 of religion. right there in your scriptures. If you're Christian, you know about Jesus. You know his life from the Gospels. Even though you believe incorrectly and you've replaced the Jews concerning their Christ, nonetheless, you know that Jesus did not form a revolutionary coup on the Pharisees, let alone the Romans. He held his own meetings, taught people to be good and to love their neighbors. And yet, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Christianity, Islam, are all seeking to force everybody to their beliefs in violation of their own scriptures. Yes, Islam believes in the Bible too. Despite the terrorist version of the Quran. And so we're heading for utter destruction. Because Mormons did not believe in the Jewish religion of Joseph Smith, and thus the Jewish Book of Mormon, interpreting it as Christian, turning it literal history rather than prophecy and revelation. And so the consequences are going to follow. And Mormons will be shocked. What? They're going to play dumb. So I've warned you that the Book of Mormon is true. The prophecies of utter destruction are happening. They're in the works. The election this November? Yeah, definitely then. Because it's been made very clear that it's going to be definitely then. However, I have tried to warn you over the years to pay attention to certain things that you can do on your own to be aware of what's going on. Doctrine and Covenants also tells you to do it. Be aware of the news, locally, nationally, and worldly, so that you've got an idea of what's going on, so that you won't be caught unawares. Try to protect yourself from the enemy that's trying to sneak in as a thief in the night to destroy you. But you don't listen, you don't believe. So nonetheless, because I've already done it for you, I am in season 2 of Deep Space Nine now that I finished Frasier with the brand new CBS season. And saw the season 1 finale and went, oh crap, Star Trek did it again. Because the Star Trek Generations was the one that revealed about the formation of LGBTQIAPO+. Because that was the episode right around the time when LGBTQIAPO+ was created. Never existed previously, all of a sudden it's created. Boom, I found out why. Star Trek, Next Generation. And so, Deep Space Nine. You'll never guess what I found in the season finale of season 1. Religions rising up as extremists to overthrow Deep Space Nine. We've already seen it in America. And yep. Religion over science in the classroom. religion refusing to sell to unbelievers or work for unbelievers. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was also involved with that one. They're also pushing religious freedom in California and the Colorado Baker cases. They want to have Utah pure Mormon, so that your recommend would allow you to buy and sell and work in Zion. They were using children as a shield. You're not catching on to this in Islam attacking Israel. They're purposely using children as a shield to get Israel to stop. Hamas still has hostages. They're not releasing the hostages. Israel can't stop until Hamas gives up the hostages. And nobody cares. They want Israel to stop. And so the press, oh no, innocent children murdered by big bad mean Israel. They're shields. Islam. Yesterday it was fine, and today, back at it again. Although the video I did earlier was fine. I was doing some journal vlogs. And so, yeah, you see this in America. You know, with medical marijuana. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints said, oh no, children! Porn! Children! Not catching on? TikTok! Children! When people rush to use children as the excuse, they're using children as the shield. Are parents that incapable of raising children? Teaching them how to learn to live in society? You'd rather throw your children to the wolves? God. And a school bombing. It's like a school shooting. And name calling. This was religious. It's all soulless, godless, or thrown out. Then you have suicide assassins, people who sacrifice themselves to get their point across. And we've seen it this year. At least 2 people that I'm aware of have purposely lit themselves on fire, which did absolutely nothing except them get their 15 minutes of fame. And now they're forgotten. This is stupid. And yeah, they had a messiah figure and a usurper who's trying to coup things. So here's the danger that I'm seeing here. The jury is now deliberating on Trump. Anybody pay attention to the stock market like I told you to? Not too long ago, it was over 40,000, a record high. And this week, into last week too, it's tanking. They're doing it incrementally so as not to freeze the stock market, because once they get over 7%, I think it is, of a fall, the stock market automatically shuts down, lets everybody calm down, and then resumes again. That's been a fail-safe that's been put into the system. And so with this, they can have massive drops just by spreading it out. And so, yeah, they're figuring out ways to get around the system, to buy low, sell high. And I hope you're not fooled by the press into thinking that the stock market is the economy of America. No, it has nothing to do with the stock market. And it's weird. I saw one news channel the other day that couldn't figure it out because the stock market is doing so well, but yet the citizens' lifestyles are suffering. The people aren't feeling the economic boom. God, it's just sick and wrong. Corporations are now getting involved with MAGA leaders who are going to the trial to threaten the judge and incite the mob. Trump was unable to do it himself. People just don't care about him anymore. They've given up on him. He should have known that. If he's going to want white supremacist help, he's got to follow through. And he failed on January 6th. And then with the takedowns of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, which was involving a Mormon, along with other Mormons that were there and are now in prison. They they're giving up. And that's why this year Islam got incited. The church met with government and religious leaders to rile them up, fund the money to attack this year. So it wasn't just Israel that's the cause. That was the trigger. You got to know your enemy. You got to know their tactics. You got to see the patterns that are going on. Because I was told, I guess you weren't, as a kid in seminary, early morning seminary, that Lucifer is incapable of inspiration. He is unintelligent, lost the light and intelligence and truth, and so he's a darkened spirit. And so he's incapable of being inspired. And if you're not inspired, how do you get through life? Well, you steal, you plagiarize, like Book of Mormon. I did the video earlier today as to why it's plagiarized. It's technically, the Book of Mormon is a brilliant masterpiece, but Expo Nevermos don't care. You too are in danger, guys. The church has always threatened apostates. You know this. You know how you're getting treated by Mormons, your family, your neighbors, your fellow ward members. You know the evil of this church. You know the danger you are in. And so it seems ridiculous that you would not listen to me either. Yet nonetheless. And so, yeah, the prophets are incapable of being inspired, getting revelation. They have to copy. They have to steal. They use fear and intimidation to give orders to have other people do what they want them to do. And so thus it's just a manual workforce rather than an industrious beehive symbol. And so I knew this when I first moved here. It shocked me, because I thought Mormons here in this valley, having been in the presence of the prophets, would be far more intelligent than I was. So I was kind of surprised going to Beehive Clothing to work, and the warehouse was a complete mess and very primitive. And when I was finally allowed to recommend my changes and implement them, everybody was shocked. So Child Faith, if you're listening, remember the story of Ammon? Here's some more for you. The Lamanites lost their intelligence. They were believing in the Christian spirit God, and they were incapable of making clothes. They only wore loincloths. And when they did finally have armor, how did they get armor? They stole the copyright patents from the Nephites. But when Ammon was there, they hadn't done that yet. And they didn't know how to farm. They were hunters and gatherers now. They were very primitive, animalistic. And so the king did the manual labor, take care of the flocks, rather than being industrious, rather than inventing, creating, discovering, deciphering. Inspiration is gone from the Lamanites. And so they're very suspicious, very conspiratorial, very superstitious and idolatrous. And here comes Ammon. I want to live among you. I just moved to Utah. What can I do to help? And he gets the menial labor rather than a position of authority. Prophecy too. And so when the Lamanites, they loved to bully those who were the shepherds as they'd scattered the flocks. And then the people would die, and the king would have to appoint new people to do it. So these other Lamanites were considering that the shepherds for the king was a lowly job, that they mocked them to have them murdered simply by scattering the flocks. And so the flocks were scattered again. They're all afraid they're going to die now. And Ammon says, hey, let's gather them up. You never considered that before? And so, yeah, defend. You never heard about defending your life? Not letting somebody send you to die? And so, yeah, these things were, they're stupid because of losing intelligence, not following truth, not following the iron rod, believing in prophecy and revelation. And so this is what I've seen with Mormons. Because teaching, it says in the manuals, or at least it used to, how to teach is with inspiration. And yet, all of you know the manuals are read verbatim. And the Sunday school president is there in the class, and he's following along to make sure you're reading. And if you don't stick to what the manual literally says, you'll be chastised. If you continue to do it, you'll be removed for being wicked. Everybody has to be a puppet. Nobody is free to be an agent unto yourselves. And so you are literally being led as lambs to the slaughter. And thus, if you are not knowingly evil, and for some reason you're still in the church, you clearly are too proud to admit that you're wrong and that you're being held in bondage. Especially when Oaks just came out in the last conference and said, yeah, you're in bondage. The underwear you're wearing and you must wear is the symbol of your bondage to us. We speak for Jesus. He tells you to put you in bondage. You will wear your underwear. You're in bondage. And so, yeah, you don't study your scriptures because the church threatens you not to. You'll become an apostate, and then people will be mean to you. Just see what happens to those already apostatizing from the church. See, we're not bullies. It's just the consequences of being an apostate. They're an enemy to us, and we need to defend ourselves by attacking them. We need to silence Travis's channel because he's attacking the church. He's kicking the pricks. So pay attention. If the verdict for Trump goes against him and he actually becomes the first president in American history to go to prison, and if the white supremacists don't revolt and start a civil war, the big businesses will retaliate by continuing to tank the stock market. Because Trump's already said, if I get locked up, the stock market will crash. And he made sure that the big corporations were bribed sufficiently with promises that he kept when he was president before. Russia, if you're listening, thank you, Russia. Come on down to the White House. Nobody will know unless your Russian press covers it. And we find out that way. That we gave you nuclear secrets and other super secret classified documents that weren't flushed down the toilet and then stolen. And when you have a wicked leader, the people either willingly become wicked themselves, justify it with their leader, or people are forced to be wicked in order to survive. That's what he wants. That's what he's threatening for this election. America will fall. He will not allow America to continue. And so if nothing results from the verdict, if it's a hung jury or he's acquitted, oh dear God, we're in trouble. But we at least get a few more months. But yeah, trouble is on the horizon, guys. And storms are still coming.